It's Tom Albright with AVNation, with an AVNation special celebrating International Women's Day with one of my favorite people in the whole wide world, Callie Perkins. How are you, ma'am?
I'm wonderful.
Yes, you are. You are absolutely wonderful. I've known Callie for a very long time. I still didn't have any gray hair when I met her, and I have no idea where to go with that. So I just had any gray hair. But Kelly, you had an interesting kind of trajectory through and around the industry, working for manufacturers, working for integrators, nonprofits, the whole gamut, right? So let's kind of take a step back and look at how you got into the industry.
Well, I had lost a job at an advertising agency and was bartending at a local bar. It was winter of 2008 when the world was kind of in a deep recession, and yeah, I really couldn't afford internet, so I was like bartending and sitting on my patio, stealing other people's internet, trying to apply for jobs, and I answered an ad. I answered a million ads on in the newspaper. Yes. And I interviewed at Vadio with Rob and Tom, and I guess the rest is history. They offered me a job, and I was like, it was kind of like in a seedy part of a suburb. And I was like, well, it's a job, I like wasn't super excited about it. And then I started it and I was like, okay, this is something I can work with. These guys are super cool.
They
So
were, and
that's I was gonna
you
say
had some of the most unique trade show booths and some of the most unique swag. One of them being an ACDC. I'm going to call it a ripoff, but an ode to ACDC Back in Black. There we go.
Yeah. So Rob, who's kind of the mastermind behind a lot of this stuff, Rob Sheely, he's the former owner and founder of Vadio. I think everybody at this point, at least if you're in the industry, has heard of Vadio. He's the mastermind behind it. He had been an integrator for a long time and owned several companies and decided to start a camera company. And if anybody knows Rob, he's a huge music nut. He loves vinyl 45s. And so a lot of the swag and different kind of promotional marketing stuff revolved around music, which is cool because really everybody that worked there was kind of a big music nut. So yeah, and he was super open to doing really cool, funky, kind of like edgy stuff. So yeah, we did the AC/DC thing. We did like a hippie one. We did all sorts of ones that probably wouldn't even be allowed in the politically corrected world that we're in today.
There were a couple, I'm certain. So kind of you went from there. Again, you went to AVI Systems. You've spent a stint at NSCA, again, nonprofit, working with trying to get young people into the industry with Ignite. When you look at your trajectory and other, now you're working with other manufacturers as a consultant, as well as working with our friends at Access Networks and their social media. What are some challenges that you've faced? Not necessarily, and if it happened, whether you were working with the end user, right, or the dealers, or just other people in the industry. What are some of the challenges that you faced, and how have you overcome those?
Ooh, well, let me count the number. uh, I guess we face challenges every day. I face challenges every day. Back when it was at Vadio, it was just learning what the heck was going on. A lot of that part was learning marketing, getting my feet wet in that area, as well as AV, because I'm not a super technical person. And so I had to be technical enough at Vadio. And then, AVI Systems. And I had managed some people at Vadio. I think I had a team of 4 or 5 when I left. And then when I went to AVI Systems, they really didn't have a marketing person to begin with. So it was just kind of building their marketing program and bringing on employees and staff as needed. And that was AVI was tough just because it was the largest organization I'd ever worked with. And at the time there were like 500 people, which I think in the grand scheme of things really isn't that large. But they had like 16 different offices, and just trying to wrangle, and create consistent marketing across all of the offices was a challenge, because there's a lot of different personalities and a lot of characters in different areas around the country. So that was a challenge. But you try and explain why it's a good thing for them and why it's going to make their business better. I remember having a discussion about social media and the importance of social media, and I got a lot of pushback on that at the very beginning. But it's just one of those things where I try to reinforce and say over and over, I'm trying to help you guys because it's good for business. I'm not just trying to like say, do this, because it's the cool thing to do. Right. So it's just convincing people that, marketing isn't just fluff. It's not just, you know, you know, getting swag together and stuff. It's actually, there's a lot of strategy to it, as I'm sure you know, and there's a lot of bits and pieces. And I think, you know, but even like 5 years ago, I had a really hard time explaining and convincing that to people. So that was a really big challenge that I had to overcome. And I get, not this is a woman's thing, but like trying to convince that to people that are in a leadership capacity, and you're intimidated, right? Like I was intimidated, and I'm not end all be all. I don't know everything. There's a lot that I don't know. So it was hard to convince people of that. Just that marketing is important and that's worth it, and that you have to spend the money to do it. Because it is a long game. It's not transactional like sales. So it takes time to see results, and it takes money. So I've gotten a lot better at that. um, and NSCA was great. I love all the folks there. It was super fun. I love Ignite. I helping people, young people, mentoring young people, just frankly, just helping people succeed is a big passion of mine. I when I worked with Ignite, I got to work with so many young people and help them succeed in their careers and move from one position to another position. So that to me was really important, and the Ignite program was really important to me. It's dear to my heart, and I brought it to where I thought, now it's kind of phase two. Somebody else can kind of take the reins and run with it. I got all kind of the foundational pieces, the marketing pieces up to par, and then kind of handed it off. And it was bittersweet in the fact that, like I said, I still love Ignite, and it's changed form factor a bit these days after the pandemic and all the chaos of 2020. But I've always wanted to try and do my own thing. It's just been a thing, whether it's owning a company, whether it's being self-employed, whether it's this or that. I always wanted to try and do it, and that was really the catalyst for me going out on my own was industry friends, right? Like I had some folks that just needed help. Specifically my friend Ken Simons, who runs Excellence Marketing out of Minneapolis. I've known him for a long time, and he took me out to lunch one day, and he's like, Kelly, he's like, I'm going to be selfish because I want to hire you and I can't afford you full time. He's like, but I think you can do this, and he was just a big proponent, a big mentor, and helped me a lot along the way. And then, I thought I'd be, scrambling for business, but it was weird because there were all of a sudden I started finding that a lot of the companies in our industry, specifically AV, can't afford full-time marketing people. So, through kind of like my connections at NSCA and just, the industry small, I started meeting more and more people. And at some point I took on too much business, which is a whole nother challenge in and of itself. But it's been running your own business, as is hard.
Yeah.
It's harder than I thought it would be. I've learned a ton. I've learned more in the last year and a half, 2 years than I think I've learned in, you know, 5 to 7 years of working in a business. So it's really cool, and it's stuff I can take with me forever, whether I decide to go back to a company full time or if I decide to keep doing this. But it's just been, I'd say the pros and the learning moments and the positives definitely outweigh all of the challenges and the heartaches throughout everything. And this industry is near and dear to my heart. So yeah, it's been, you know, up and down and crazy and all of that.
Talk for a second about some of the challenges though, as being a woman in this industry, and the stories that we've gotten over the last month or so of recording these um, have been interesting, but also heartbreaking. And I referenced somebody the other day. I said these are enough to make you cry and also piss you off, right? And some of these have happened years ago, and things that you would hope never doesn't happen anymore. Um, and then you turn on the camera and start the microphone, and somebody tells you one that happened last month. That is the same story that happened 30 years ago to somebody else. So talk for a second about some of those instances or those hurdles, and what it took, both internally, but also with the support system that you had to overcome some of those.
I mean, so okay, so I took on um, this part-time job with Access Networks, and I work for Haley Patterson, who's
Who's
amazing and
awesome.
wonderful. Yeah, super cool. So I was thinking about this, like, after I started there, which I started January 1, and she is the first female boss I've had since high school. So she's my first female boss I've had in my professional career. And I was trying to think of the last ones this morning, actually, and it was when I worked at Little Caesars inside of Kmart and at a pizza joint waiting tables. So those are the last.
Awesome. Little Caesars. Oh my gosh. All right.
Yeah. So, and I mean, when you work in Little Caesars inside of Kmart, you can only imagine what the female boss is like. So there's that. Yeah. So I've only worked for men my entire pretty much professional career. I've worked alongside women. I've hired a lot of women, as well as men. And I try and think of specific instances where, where where in the industry and over my years, I've run into, challenges of being a woman. And I would guess, you know, I'll be honest, I can't think of like a specific horribly heartbreaking thing that comes to mind. I mean, there's little things, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
that you're like, oh, that's not very nice. Or, oh, of course, she's an AV, but she's in marketing, that kind of stuff, or whole booth babe conversation and whatnot. But I don't know if it's because I've been lucky or because, I frankly, I don't know. I have both men and women in this industry that I love dearly. And I haven't had like a giant moment other than like I said, where it's for me, it could have been being a woman, but it was being in kind of like higher level positions when I was younger amongst a lot of men, middle-aged men, and it's I think, and I don't want to stereotype because I'm not trying to, but I'm just like, it's hard enough in our industry because there aren't females, or there are, but there aren't a lot. The ratio is very, very off kilter. And it's like it's just intimidating. It's hard enough. It's hard enough to go in front of a room and speak to a bunch of people. And I think that's partly where some of my like mass fear of you know presenting and talking in front of people and public speaking, it's like I started out doing a lot of that stuff when I was like very young. I was, usually the only female, or if not the only female in the room, there were one or two others. And it just like, I have this stigma of like, of like kind of just being scared to do it. I think I'm getting over it. I'm trying to get over it. And I think maybe it's just being young too, right? Like, I don't know. I've gained more confidence, over the years, and I don't question myself as much. So I think that's part of it too. I mean, I question myself, but not as much as I used to when I was like 25, right? So, but um, yeah, I mean, I was trying to think of like a specific moment, and without calling anyone out specifically, there really hasn't been anything too crazy. I mean, I guess I'm not one of those people that's making you cry.
Well, you make me cry for different reasons. That's a whole other, usually when we're out and, anyhow.
Sorry, I'm boring.
You're not boring. One of the things I wanted to point out though is you made the comment there that you're trying. You have over the last 2 years, I'm not going to use the term reinvent yourself because that's unfair, but you have tried several different things that has added to your resume and to your toolbox. Quite frankly, you do a podcast with David Maldo, right? You did social media for us, right? AVNation. You did a podcast with Dawn Mead here for a number of years. You've done, marketing and both the local level with Ken. Ken's a local, manufacturer's rep, out of Minnesota, but he's got some regional areas, but as well as national, right? With the AV Hero. So there are several different things that you have quote unquote tried, but I would say, rather successfully. So you need to give yourself a bit more credit.
Well, thank you.
When it comes to the end of I hesitate in saying some of these this term sometimes, but the end of your career, when you're looking back, because you are not anywhere close to that yet. You're considerably younger than me, so you are.
I don't know about that.
When you look back at your career, what do you want to see have changed when it comes to women in the industry, and how do you want to have changed it?
I hope that when I leave this industry that there are more women in it. I really hope that. Like I said, I've tried to bring in more. Some of them have stayed, some of them haven't. I would like it where not every AV integration company's executive leadership page on their website is all, middle-aged white males, except for maybe HR and marketing. It would be nice if it was a little bit more balanced. It would be nice if there were more women, just women in the technical side of things. I wish I could be that person. I can't. And I guess I just hope that at the end of my career, I've been able to help young people, find their way into the industry, latch onto it and be successful, throughout their careers. Because I remember, when I first started out, it was hard. It's especially hard being a woman. It's hard being a woman in a very male dominated industry. And, to have, I would like to be a mentor, I guess. I would like to help those young women navigate the chaos of, any type of career, and especially AV, because it's confusing, especially to the outside world. And I think of some of my, greatest female mentors. There's, Corey Schaefer, Christina DeBono, Dina Lockhart. There's, Lori Englert. Some of these women are insane and amazing and have done nothing but help me. And I just hope that I'm in a position at that point where, kind of where they are in an executive role, to reach out and help and make a difference. And even the playing field.
A good place to stop.
Long-winded answer.
No, it's not. I like it. It's a good place to stop, though. Kelly Perkins, thank you so much. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
I'm all over the soch. Kelly P. Perkins at pretty much everything. Emails kellyp.perkins@gmail.com.
Very good. Kelly Perkins, thank you so much. For us, for AVNation, go by our website, avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv. And follow along as we highlight other incredible women the entire month of March. All that and more at avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv.